Today's video is going to feature a variety of shocking conspiracy theories, from the terrifying,
okay, Google Translate is on some weird shit,
my distress come upon the world,
to the ridiculous.
Paul Pierce in a lot of fame.
think about the embarrassment.
These theories are so crazy that they just might be true.
Pull your phone out and you look at it and it never actually rang.
Car that runs on water instead of gasoline. Can it be true?
And it's not possible for the government to control all of that, right?
The Pentagon is also showing lots of interest in this project.
So in honor of the current NBA playoffs, our first theory is going to be about one of the most bizarre NBA playoff moments of all time. And the theory is even crazier. And this event was Paul Pierce's injury in Game 1 of the 2008 Finals. On June 5th, 2018, the Boston Celtics were facing off against the Los Angeles Lakers at TD Garden for Game 1 of the series. Now the game was close and well fought by both sides as the halfway mark of the third quarter approached. But that's when things took a drastic turn for the Celtics. One of the Celtics' star players, Paul Pierce, went down with what appeared to be a gruesome injury.
The Lakers, the number 1 seed in the West this year. Kobe Bryant knocks it down. Beautiful move.
Now Pierce appeared to be done. Like, this man was writhing in pain, holding his leg, and to anyone watching at home and in the stadium, it looked like it was some kind of ACL or something horrible like that. An injury that would most definitely end his entire season and could even spill over to next year. I mean, that's how bad people really thought this was. And these thoughts were all but confirmed when Paul Pierce was picked up and carried by his teammates towards the locker room and eventually put on a wheelchair and wheeled back. The whole time Pierce had this look on his face that said the pain was immense. It looked really bad for Boston. And Boston fans knew they were in trouble. And the whole stadium was quiet as the fans tried to comprehend what had just happened. But this silence didn't last long, as just a minute and 20 seconds of game time later, Paul Pierce emerged from the locker room, sprinting out towards the court. He would go on to check into the game and basically dominate for the rest of the game, leading Boston to win Game 1. It was crazy. It was a crazy comeback. People thought this man's career could be over, and he comes running out literally minutes later. Now, some viewed this as a heroic move by Pierce, as many people believe he was simply playing through the pain. But some aren't necessarily convinced that there was ever really any injury on this play. And that brings up this incredibly strange conspiracy theory. The theory is that Pierce wasn't injured at all, but that he had actually pooped his pants. Now, as crazy as this sounds, this has actually become one of the most popular NBA conspiracy theories that honestly I've ever heard. And here's why people believe it. For starters, why would he need a wheelchair for an injury that seemingly was so minor that it didn't even really exist? Well, perhaps it was to cover up the fact that he had soiled his pants, and he didn't want the whole nation watching to see that on live TV. I mean, for God's sakes, he was wearing white shorts. It would have been very, very noticeable, and think about the embarrassment. I mean, if I was in his position, I would fake an injury too. I mean, you would never live that down. So faking an injury and taking the wheelchair out is the perfect scapegoat. Also, a now infamous picture has been posted of what appears to be some type of stain on the back of Pierce's shorts that definitely kind of looks like it could be that. But that being said, it isn't totally clear what the stain could be. It could just be sweat, or it could just be weird lighting. I mean, we really don't know. And when it comes to this picture, there's also some dispute that it might not even be from Game 1, but it's never been officially confirmed. I mean, really, this theory would explain why he was back on the court in just 5 minutes after suffering that gruesome injury. 5 minutes would be probably the perfect amount of time to clean yourself up, get changed, and get back out there. Now, Pierce came forward and said that he was actually afraid that he had suffered some form of major knee injury, but here's why I'm not really buying that. I mean, the time that he was in the locker room wouldn't have been enough time for them to run hardly any tests. Now, as I watched the tape back, I personally don't necessarily believe that Pierce actually defecated himself. For me, there's too many angles where it would have been really obvious if this had happened, like this one and this one. You would know if something was going on down there. But perhaps maybe he just felt like he was about to. And he felt like he was right on the edge, just barely holding it in. And that's why he called for the wheelchair. But you know what? Whatever you choose to believe actually happened on that day, it's still an incredibly interesting story. Okay, so not gonna lie, this is the type of theory that could get me taken out. The year was 1998 when inventor Stanley Meyer sat down for some lunch at a restaurant. Now, Meyer was the creator of one of the most revolutionary products and inventions of all time, a car that ran entirely on water. Now, this water-powered car could apparently drive from New York City all the way to California on just 22 gallons of water.
If we take the dune buggy from Los Angeles to New York, we would roughly use 22 gallons of water.
Surely this incredible invention would go on to change the world and revolutionize everything, right? Well, obviously not, because where are they? You would think with such a game-changing invention, it would have taken off. Well, there's actually a reason why it never did. And that's because on that fateful day in 1998, when Meyer was out for lunch, he dropped dead. It was a tragic tale of a brilliant mind of someone who had just simply died due to the strenuous effects of high blood pressure. It's sad and it's tragic, but according to some, including even Meyer himself, his death was no accident. You see, one of the most profitable things in this world is the energy industry. Our world practically runs on oil, and it's a business that makes trillions of dollars every single year. I mean, money like that is honestly impossible to even comprehend. So imagine how much power the leaders of that industry have. I mean, with that kind of money, they could control the world, and maybe in a way they kind of do. I mean, like I said before, everything relies on oil. But what happens if we don't need oil anymore? What happens when Stanley Meyer releases a car to the public that runs solely on water? Well, you could take that technology and transfer it all across the world to a bunch of different things and practically eliminate the need for any sort of oil whatsoever. And that would probably be, in a way, pretty good for us. Well, all of us, but the oil industry. I mean, that one man's invention could have single-handedly taken down one of the most wealthy industries in the entire world. So with that being said, it has led many people to believe that Stanley Meyer was murdered and that the murder was done on behalf of the big oil industry. Now, before his death, Meyer was well aware that something like this could happen to him. And so he would openly tell people that if he were to die, especially under strange circumstances, to investigate his death, because he knew that his work directly interfered with those who are practically controlling our society. And that brings us to his actual death. Now, the day he died, Meyer was out for lunch with two strange Belgian investors. Now, at this point in their meal, Meyer had already turned down a deal from these Belgian investors. He didn't want to give them any rights to his product. Well, after he said this, he took a sip of his cranberry juice and immediately grabbed his throat. Now, immediately realizing something was wrong, he ran out of the restaurant and fell to the ground. So his friend came running after him and he asked, what's wrong? What's going on? And that's when Stanley Meyer said, "They poisoned me." And those were the last words that he ever said. Now, his friend went on to claim that later that week, the actual car that Meyer had built that ran solely on water was stolen from him. So these are definitely some strange circumstances. And obviously there's a clear motive for the oil industry to silence this man. I mean, he was gonna put him out of business. And it's also clear that they had the power to do it. So why wouldn't this conspiracy theory be true? I mean, to this day, the story is still not confirmed. And if we're being honest, it never will be. But I have to say, this is one of the craziest conspiracies that I've ever heard. And I think it's true, but legally I can't say that. So it's not. So one of the most popular conspiracy theories here in the United States is that the government controls our media. For example, some people believe that the news here in the United States is controlled by the government. Like the government has an agenda and the news pushes it. Everybody's heard that before. And I'll admit, some of the examples are pretty damn convincing.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
But for whatever reason, aside from, the news stations, I thought we were safe when it comes to movies and TV shows. We can just enjoy that, not have any government influence. I mean, and it's not possible for the government to control all of that, right? Wrong. It turns out that Washington actually does have some control on the movies and the TV shows that we watch. And it's pretty crazy. Let me read you some of this initial report from The Independent to show you just how bad things really are. Files we obtained, mainly through the U.S. Freedom of Information Act, show that between 1911 and 2017, more than 800 feature films received support from the U.S. government's Department of Defense, a significantly higher figure than previously estimated. These included blockbuster franchises such as Transformers, Iron Man, and The Terminator. Why are we bringing the Transformers into this? On television, we found over 1,100 titles received Pentagon backing 900 of them since 2005, from Flight 93 to Ice Road Truckers to Army Wives. Ice Road Truckers? When we include individual episodes for long-running shows like 24, Homeland, and NCIS, as well as the influence of other major organizations like the FBI and the White House, we can establish unequivocally for the first time that the national security state has supported thousands of hours of entertainment. So at this point, this is not even a conspiracy theory, it's just a weird fact. Our government controls at least some of our media. So the question is, why? Well, public perception seems like the obvious answer. By paying for these movies, they can in turn tell the creators to kind of paint the US military in the best possible light. I mean, they always make us look like heroes. They always make us look like the good guys, no matter what the situation is. So when these movies come out, and the military is always painted in the best light possible, people who consume this content will subconsciously start to think that our military can really do no wrong. And it might make them less likely to question decisions made that could be considered questionable. Now, whether this is actually a good or a bad thing is ultimately left for the individual to decide, so you can decide for yourselves. But the fact that it's happening so often and nobody's really talking about it is just something that's kind of weird, and it rubs me the wrong way. So I am on my floor now. That's because for whatever reason my audio just decided to stop working on me, and I have to refilm this entire part. I love being a YouTuber. So if you have a cell phone, I am willing to bet $100 that this has happened or will happen to you at some point. You're just sitting there chilling with your phone in your pocket, and all of a sudden it buzzes. And this is a really strange thing considering you have absolutely no friends and you're a worthless loser. So you excitedly pull out your phone and then you realize there's no message there. Your phone never actually buzzed. Now, this is a phenomenon that is so common that it has actually become a legitimate medical syndrome. And the syndrome is called phantom vibration syndrome.
Phantom vibration syndrome. It's when you feel your phone vibrating in your pocket as if you're receiving a call or text, but you pull your phone out and you look at it and it never actually rang.
Now, WebMD says an expert is warning about a modern day phenomenon called phantom vibration syndrome, where people think their mobile phone is ringing or vibrating when it's not. Apparently, some of us are so concerned about missing a call or text that we become extra aware of the sensation that one is incoming. So first of all, the fact that WebMD is posting about this and talking about this is crazy enough. But also, I'm not sure I totally believe this. Listen, there have been times when I am sure that my phone buzzed. Like, I am positive. And then I go and check and there's nothing there. No Twitter DM, no Instagram DM, no Snapchat. I got nothing. Now, of course, there have been other times when I'm like, oh, I think I felt my phone buzz, and then I look and there's nothing there. So maybe that describes situations like that. But no, I am telling you, there are times when I am 100% certain that my phone has buzzed. And apparently, I am not the only one who feels this way, which brings us to our next theory. The theory is that cell phone companies send out these phantom buzzes to get us back using our phones. I mean, think about it. The more time we spend on our phones, the better it is for these cell phone companies, obviously. And when our phone buzzes and we're trying to figure out where it came from, then all of a sudden we might start looking through our Instagram or Twitter, start scrolling around, and within seconds, you're back hooked on looking at your phone. Now, I have to believe that it would be so easy for the cell phone companies to do this and to get away with it. So for that reason, I totally kind of believe this theory. But also, there's really not much information out there about this. So as of right now, it is just a hunch. But doesn't it just make way too much sense? So the next time you feel your phone buzz in your pocket, that could just be a cell phone company trying to get your attention. Okay, Google Translate is on some weird shit. If you haven't seen this yet, just prepare to have your mind blown, because honestly, it's just so weird. I don't even know what else to say about it. So before I sit down to film a video, I like to have solid knowledge on the topic. I like to really think that I know what I'm talking about. But in this case, I kind of have no clue. Like, this is the weirdest thing ever. Now, this theory is about a glitch in Google Translate, and why it's happening is really anyone's guess. So this glitch occurs when you set Google Translate to translate from Maori to English. Then you basically type in some gibberish, and all of a sudden it will translate it into something really weird, and in most cases, absolutely terrifying. Now, apparently it works best if you type in 2 to 3 letter increments, and the words that you type don't actually have to make any sense. But some people have actually typed in questions and just kind of separated them into 2 to 3 letter increments. So instead of looking like this, it looks like this, but it practically asks the same thing. And this is where things get terrifying, because a lot of the times when they type these broken up questions in, they'll actually get somewhat of an intelligent response. Now, there are people who genuinely believe that this is something demonic and like the site is possessed or something, which, you know what, I'm just gonna clear the air and say I'm not a big believer in that. But other explanations are honestly probably even more scary. Some believe that Google Translate is actually giving out warning signs of an impending doomsday. And finally, there are those who believe that higher ups in our world are using this weird glitch in Google Translate to communicate about some shady stuff, which doesn't make sense. I don't know, you're asking the wrong guy here. So with that being said, let's just go on to Google Translate and figure out a theory for ourselves and see if this actually does work. All right guys, so I got my laptop here and we're about to go on to Google Translate to see if we can get any really weird responses. I'm sure this camera angle is really great right now. All right, so you can see right up top, these are the 3 languages that apparently work the best when it comes to this Google Translate glitch. We have Maori, Somali, and Igbo. That is actually my native language, is Igbo. So we're gonna start off with Somali, because that's where this whole glitch started, was with Somali to English translations. So I'll just start typing random stuff. I'm just gonna try 2 letters right now. Whoa. Oh, okay. So how did we go from this clear gibberish to there are 2 things in the world? All right, what happens if we add to this? It goes right back. There are 2 things you can do. This is eerie. It is important to note that there are 2 ways in which you can work. Wait, let me hear what it sounds like. I want to hear the Google Translate lady say this.
It is important to note that there are 2 ways in which you can work.
What the fuck? What? Wait, what? It is important that you and your family are involved in the community. What? Why is this happening? I'm so confused. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna try typing in a question. I'm scared, but I'm gonna just break it up. Is anyone here is what he is? I'm not getting any good responses. What if I change the language to Maori? It is your own. How about Igbo? It is your own. So there's one really weird glitch, and I'm not sure what happens when you do it, but all I know is you're supposed to type in prophecy a bunch of times. Just the word prophecy, and translate it from Maori to English. Apparently something weird happens. Let's find out. Prophecy. Oh. That's weird. Let's listen.
Prophecy, 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 prophecy. You country, you are living on borrowed time, reader mail. Prophecy of necessity is at the door. My distress come upon the world.
Oh my God. What? I do not like this at all. So it says, you country, you are living on borrowed time. So I know that's not clear English, but it kind of sounds like, well, it obviously sounds like your country is living on borrowed time. And then it says, prophecy of necessity is at the door. My distress come upon the world. That sounds like a dark prophecy right there. So by typing in prophecy, maybe we're getting a real prophecy? I don't know. How could a bunch of the same word turn into a whole full-fledged sentence? All right, so there's some more that I was told to type in. Apparently this one gives a good result. For Somali. Oh my God.
You are the one who is going to die.
Goodbye, world. That's dark. I heard this one's crazy. It's Igbo. Copy paste. What are we stumbling upon here? So look at this phrase, says human trafficking. Now remember, one of the theories for this glitch is that it's used by higher ups to conduct shady business. Now look at some of the terms that are associated with this specific glitch. You have human trafficking. Watch, you remove 1 letter, free shipping. You remove 1 letter, not worth it. 1 letter, cheapest. Money. To him, money again. What if people really are using this to communicate for human trafficking? A cheap man. Like, this could all be seen as like sketchy business talk here. It's a cheap man's business. This is a great deal of money for you. Guys, this is just so weird. Seriously, like, I didn't realize this was gonna take that kind of turn. I really thought this was gonna be like a funny glitch. This could really be something serious in a weird way. I mean, I'm probably overreacting, most definitely am. But you have to admit, that's really, really weird. I feel like this is only the beginning of this theory. I don't know. If you guys want me to take a deeper dive into this specific theory, let me know down in the comments. I will be happy to make a full-fledged big video on this. Even if the whole sketchy business talk is far-fetched, I mean, the glitch in general is still so interesting. I really don't know where to go with this. I didn't realize it was going to take this kind of turn. So I'm just going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with another one.